This daily race might be one of the biggest love-hate combos I've seen on Gran Turismo in a minute. I have to say that once you practice it a bit and nailed like 18 laps in a row, 16 of which you probably crashed, you get the hang of it, and then it's rewarding, and then it's fun. Overall, though, I do think this track brought out some uncalled for aggression from opponents. I'll let you be the judge. Hello everyone, welcome back to Gran Turismo 7, a game that separates the pros from the amateurs, and I'm here to prove that there's probably a third category that needs to be implemented. For the very first race here, I did qualify with 2:03.7. I was doing my best to get into 2:02 at least, but ran out of time before the entry period started, so I just figured I would make the most of it, see how the first race went. Got a Rexy in front of me. I don't know how to feel about that one. Now we are of course at Mount Panorama, and the start of this race in particular was a lot of fun. Watch this. Nevis guy in fifth has really bad internet, so that's fun. Yeah. That was 100% lag.
Bruh.
I get a penalty for it. Oh, good. Lovely, lovely. What a great start to a race on lap 1. I genuinely think there needs to be a rule that says you can't enter a race unless you have a certain amount of bandwidth. So stuff like that doesn't happen, because it was really no one's fault. It was just the guy's car glitched back and then glitched back to its original position. So anyway, heading up the hill here. End up doing a little bit of bumper cars through here. Honestly, if you can just get through the first lap of this race, you're almost in the clear. That's one of the biggest challenges, just because you have the walls on both sides in this section of the track, and you have your opponents who you don't know what they're going to do. And if you can just survive, if you can hold your position, unlike I did, even though that was lag-based, makes a big difference. And through most of this, you have your foot pretty hard down, so it does require a good amount of focus to get through there unscathed. Even though I did trade paint a little bit with the walls, we are relatively safe. I did miss that turn a little bit. That's the trickiest one for me, is that really off-camber one where it can totally throw off the balance of your car. I don't know if I ever nailed it, to be honest. I know you have to stay right and then dart left, but it's still such a big challenge for me. So on the back straight here, now preparing to serve my uncalled for penalty, and that is going to put me farther back in the rankings than I feel like I deserve, as we slide down to 11th here, and then on down to 12th, and then 13th. So we've obviously got our work cut out for us this race. But jumping ahead here just a little bit, you can see the Corvette took the grass route through one of the last turns there, so that does put me back up to 12th. Jumping ahead here towards the back straight of lap 3, I did manage to catch up to these two in front of me through the curvy bits. And really, I was just trying to stay in their draft the best I could, because it's so important on this track. You gain, I mean, it's anywhere from 6/10 to even a second just being in someone's draft, depending on how close you are, of course. But, I mean, that's your slingshot to get past people. And you can see it here in action as I hit about 174 there briefly. Typically, without the draft, you're around 167-ish, 168 if I remember correctly. So, big deal. That's why I was trying so hard to stay behind him. But thought about a quick move up the inside there for Chuki. I was too far back. Didn't make sense to even try and dive bomb. That corner's a really hard one to pass on the inside, and unless you're right up on the person, which I wasn't. So, decided just to hang back here, wait for my turn. Getting up to the curvy bits here on lap 4. And I was catching them a little bit as we started, but I just managed some oversteer here, and I had to jump on the brakes in order to prevent myself from crashing. So just these walls on either side of you, they creep up on you, and they do that. And now I'm back 2 seconds again. But luckily, the guys in front of me did hit some traffic, so they didn't get too far away from me. And at the end of the lap here, managed to catch up a little bit as we all bunch up through the turn here. I almost get a little bit of oversteer there. The Ferrari, with its turbocharged engine, is a little bit trickier on the throttle, especially on tight corners. You really have to be ginger with it. That's why I'm being very careful. There are better exits to those turns, but I was just doing my very best to use my big pinky toe to operate the gas pedal. So, sticking in Black Panther's draft here. I decided to go up the inside. As soon as you get out of the draft, you really feel the wind resistance. As you can see, I didn't gain that much length on him, but it was enough to hold the inside line here and make the pass. So that was nice. I do really love the braking feel of the Ferrari. I think it feels a little better being mid-engine compared to the 911 that's in front of me being rear-engine. So just doing my best to use that to my advantage. But there I go again, not using my pinky toe, and I erased the progress I made. I saw Black Panther coming up on me. I just decided to give him the position. Could have held him off, probably, but I was just going so much slower than him. It didn't feel right, so might as well make up the time the right way without spinning out and spinning your tires after a curve. End of lap 5, I go in for tires. There was not really, I mean, I saw people go on lap 5, I saw people go on lap 6. Didn't seem to make that big of a difference on this race, despite the tire wear being higher. But in any case, I knew that I was going to be right behind Black Panther, so I had to just keep in his draft, see how close I could get to him by the end of the straight. And I gained a little bit, but through this corner here, he pushes a little bit wide. So use that as my opportunity. He cuts across, I cut inside. And now, admittedly, this next part, I did think for sure that he was going to at least tap his brakes to give himself a little bit more room through this turn because I was ahead. But he did not, and he bounced off the back bumper. And that happens. We both lost time. I pushed wide through the turn, and we're just trading spaces out of sloppiness now. And I'm starting to wonder overall when life is going to get better and I will feel happiness again. Now, the rest of this race was definitely one of the races of all time. I managed to get up to 8th after everyone had done their pit stops and whatnot, so I was just trying to hold my position, but again, almost losing it from using my mallet of a foot on the accelerator out of that corner. It came back to haunt me, so really at this point, I was just hoping that someone in front of me would slow down, and lo and behold, two guys in front of me, they got into it. I don't know what was happening. These guys had some beef. They're obviously going really slow, bouncing off each other. Right here, you can see them crash into each other for whatever reason. And I just completely overcook it. And that was literally my opportunity, and I binned it. So now I have to Austin Powers my way back on the track. And yeah, I mean, this just sums up the race. At this point, I'm fed up, and I'm ready to go home. Down the last big straight of this race, and I do see that the guy who was fighting, though I passed before, he did get a giant penalty. I think it was 4 seconds. So him and the other driver getting the penalties that are expected when things go awry and you end up getting physical from your car. So that was my saving grace towards the end here. I did get up to 9th, but in any case, that really does not redeem this race at all. And, well, I'm just happy it's over. I'll put it that way. And the guy with the terrible connection got third. Probably because he punted everyone off the track with his stupid connection. Just our luck. Yay. On to race 2 here, and I did manage to start farther up the order just a little bit, despite actually not getting a better qualifying time. I took a break in between races, and then I didn't have enough time to try and log a better lap, but nonetheless, I was happy with that, especially on this track. In any case, starting farther up is great, but this track was just proving challenging to pass for me. Even though we had big straightaways and whatnot, I was still not managing it very well. So, this was my chance. Diving into the first corner here, trying to get my best exit possible. Obviously, it's a long run. You want to get as much speed as you can, and checking behind me there just to see. I did get a little bit better exit than the guy behind me, and that Beetle that he's in seemed to be the meta for this race, but I just could not get the hang of that thing. That thing felt so weird on this track. The balance of the car just wasn't right to me, and the braking was just, I'm not even going to go into it. It didn't work for me. And I'm curious to know if it worked for any of you, because I think just being rear-engined and short, and I don't know what it was. I couldn't figure it out. So I gave up on it, stuck with my trusty old Ferrari that has a vicious bit of turbo spool as I felt there exiting that corner, trading paint with the walls. Luckily, the wall was red, and my car was red, so no one's even going to notice. It's pretty much like it didn't even happen. I was truly doing my best just to keep my foot down as much as possible through here. There are some people who managed to do it without lifting, but I don't know if it was in this car. It might be because of the car, but I think it's mostly because of the driver. We won't go into that since I'm drifting through these corners anyway. But so far so good until right about here. I just turned in way too early to that corner and bounced off of it. So, unfortunately, I give up a bunch of positions, second down to sixth here. But the Porsche in front of me does have half a second that he's got to get back. Taking a look at the radar behind me, you'll notice someone coming up, and they don't get out of my draft quick enough. I think that's what they're trying to do there, at least, because I left them space on the right side, and they ended up bump drafting me a little bit. So I was grateful for that. And I did not see that guy coming up in the BMW. He was moving really quick. And then taking a look at the radar again, this guy scared the shit out of me. I thought I was about to get punted. He did manage to get under control of it there, but he did end up going off the track in the end. So, lots to keep my mind busy on the first lap of this race. Obviously, I didn't mean to lose 5 positions in doing so, but luckily we did gain one back here. There's a little bit of contact between those two. We're back up to 6. So, yes, it's been busy on lap 1, on to lap 2 here. A GTR and a Ferrari side by side through the turn. They make a little bit of contact, and it forces them both to be a little bit slower. So I'm going the long way here, up the outside of the GTR. I don't think he saw me at first, but eventually he gave me a little bit of room. And now we're just drag racing down the hill here into the corner. And truth be told, this is a very hard corner to get right to overtake on the outside, unless you totally fake out the person on the inside. I wasn't expecting it to work, but figured I'd put the pressure on anyway. From here, take a look at what the Ferrari behind me does. I'm here to interrupt myself from the editing chair here because I'm getting stuck on this clip because I've seen a lot of events happen where someone is alongside you, right? And they have maybe just 3 inches of their bumper up the inside on you. And they expect you to give them a line through the corner. But in this case, the car behind me was going into a gap that was disappearing. And if you have 3 inches of bumper up my back bumper, that doesn't mean you have the line, right? To me, it doesn't. Like, that doesn't mean I should have to yield. If you're halfway up the inside of me, sure, I get that. That means I should yield. But if you're this far up, that's not a gap that you should go for, right? I feel like I'm not out of line here, but I'm asking you guys, leave a comment if you have an opinion on that, but that is why this ended the way it did. Tell me what you think. Roast me in the comments if I'm wrong. Let's go back to the video.
You're driving too fast, jail.
So I digress with all of this, right? But I think it's important as sim racers to learn from your mistakes, right? And then hopefully you can not make them. But I've just seen that happen so many times, and I just don't think it's a justifiable move from the person on the inside. You gotta wait. And that was not a very good turn to pass anyway. So, in any case, back on the gas here, not letting it get to my head. Kazzy gets a little slow through there, so I go up the inside and squirrely dive into my favorite part of the racetrack. Just trying to keep up with my Ferrari friend here. See if I can make a move to get past him again, hopefully in a safe manner. That's the most important part, where there's space and, no contact being made. Now, lap 2, 3, and 4 were basically spent tracking down Ferrari's second driver here, and I was catching up to him through the curvy bits here, and I really just wanted to show him what a smooth overtake looks like. And so he ended up touching the wall there on the outside, so this was my run, right? And I thought, okay, great, I can just get past him nice and smooth. I'll stick in his draft for a sec, and I'm going to dodge right, and look what he does. Oh my god, he retaliates. Who would have thought that a guy who makes the movie did earlier would have done that? The writing was on the wall, and I didn't even read it. It's mostly because I can't read. But this obviously was not something that I really loved. But I'm still going to pass him nicely. And that was my mindset until right about here. Apparently I forgot that. Now, this next action that I performed was 100% an accident, and I was so bummed that it even happened because I wanted to show this guy what a legitimate pass looked like, but I lost focus. Maybe I was a little flustered from the past lap. I don't know what happened. Unfortunately, I punted him.
Also jail.
And literally after the race, I sent him 3 apology messages because that was 100% my fault, and I really just don't believe in that. I don't believe in punting. I don't believe in revenge, and I just lost my train of thought there. Fortunately, he did recover pretty quickly, but in any case, I still felt like a dummy for doing that. Anyway, we get our new tires. I do get a penalty because I did cut the pit line going into the pit, so I got what I deserved, and I just decided to focus on the rest of the race. And jumping ahead here, there was really not much else that went on. I served my penalty, and everyone else went into the pits. So I stayed in 5th, and then I gained one more from someone else going into the pits as well. So last little bit of curviness through here, and I see that I'm gaining a little bit on Raphael, hoping that there's something there, just because everyone's tires are a little bit worn out at this point. Obviously mine are getting to the halfway mark, and so I saw for a glimpse there that he had a small little penalty. I didn't get to see how much it was. It did end up only being half a second, but half a second on the straight makes a big deal. You can see how quickly I start to reel him in. But I was just pretty far away from him, and I didn't know if that would turn into anything. So I'm thinking about a move. Do I dive? But no, he covers the inside enough there. I really can't fault him for that defense. That was about as good as it gets. So I am still happy with the outcome. You know, I'll take 4th after everything that happened in this race. I'm grateful that it happened that way. Still feeling lame about how I ruined the other guy's race, but we learn, we move on, we improve. This is such a funny race. So much happens in this race. It's like exhausting. I need a beer. Or 6. I have to apologize to Baza. So that's that. That's Mount Panorama with Group 3 cars. It was a challenge. It was frustrating at times, but again, once you get the hang of it, it's rewarding. It's kind of worth the time. The close quarters portion, not a huge fan of, but obviously it challenges you and pushes you to the limit and really requires a lot of focus. And that's something that not every race provides. Certainly the daily race A in the Subaru at Eiger Nordbahn was the complete opposite of the spectrum, so it was nice to have both to choose from this week. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please consider giving it a like. Please consider subscribing if you want to see more Gran Turismo content. Until next time, thanks for watching.